And we're sitting at 52 degrees out there on the weather post, and I am joined by Kayla Mattson from the Independence Library. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you today?
Good. Got my warmest sweater on.
Yeah. You're saying you left your windows open last night?
Windows open overnight.
Yep.
Freeze the whole time I was getting ready to pop over here.
Like I said the same thing. My wife opened the windows, and our bedroom door was shut all night, so it was nice and toasty in there. And then I got up this morning, and it was a little chilly. But this is the time of the year to do that. Yeah. Yep. More blankets, open the windows. You can turn that AC off, and you'll be fine.
Heated blanket season.
Yep, it is. So we were talking last week that you guys were looking to pour some cement over at the building, and it turned out to be a decent week. So did you get some cement poured?
Got some cement poured. They're basically done. If you go over there,
really?
It looks like a whole new site. They got all of the cement poured on Tuesday. They were there very late because they then smoothed it out and put a curing additive on it and scored some lines in there. So they were there until about 10 o'clock Tuesday night and let it sit for a couple of days, and then they put in their steel beams. So the plan on Friday was just to put the vertical steel beams in and then keep working on it this week. But they got almost all of the beams put in, horizontal and vertical, on Friday. And now this week they're starting wood framing walls already. So
well, that's good to hear.
Yeah. So from, Tuesday to Tuesday over the last week, we went from hopefully we can pour some cement in a nice sandy area to we've got walls.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's great to hear because it's with all that rain we had for the last 2 weeks. It's hard to get out there and get stuff done. So they're making some. It sounds like a little. I don't want to say they're ahead of it, but they're making some good progress.
They're making great time, and they've said so many times that they don't. Who knows what the weather will bring, but they said this sandy soil that we're on is just perfect. They said you will never have a problem with moisture, with standing puddles, anything. It just
drains right through.
It's just perfect.
Oh,
they said one of them said they couldn't have had a better site to be working on, especially when it was so rainy, and that was great to hear.
Wow. Well, speaking of the site, I'm sure there's been a lot of talk around town about the location of the new library. One of it's the sandy soil apparently.
Such good sand there.
Yeah. Can you walk us through how that decision was made for people who don't know?
Yeah. Because I think there are still people who think like, oh, why are they building it over there? When somebody asks, where are you building it? That's the first question. If somebody just is finding out for the first time that we're building a new building, and the reactions are almost completely 50-50, where people say, wow, that's going to be a great place, or they go, wow, why would you do that? There's not a lot of in between. But we looked at pretty much every spot in town. Anything that was a half acre, 0.6 acres or bigger, we considered it. And I think a lot of people, because they weren't involved in the meetings and seeing the behind the scenes, think that we just cooked up this, let's take over the park and cut down all the trees. And so the search for a location started about 6 months before we officially found out we would be able to build this new community center. In March, it was just before Easter. The city council, the library board, they had people from the water and sewer commission, they had some business owners, they had some local investors, all had a meeting, and we went through, I think there were 12 locations we were looking at that meeting, and everybody, immediately we were all like, no. But there was pretty split opinions. I mean, there is, anytime you get more than two people in a room, you're going to have more than two opinions. So there was kind of a ranking on, these are our top 3 or 4, and then the city council split up and started having pretty informal conversations, because at that stage it was, we're applying for this grant, and if it works out, we'd like to buy your land. Would you like to make a land? There was a lot of hypotheticals being tossed around, and that was difficult. And there were a few times that we got really close to finding a location. There was a parcel up by the school, which that school's 25, 30 years old, and you're still hearing people mad about the location of that. So you're never going to please everybody. But there's a chunk of land up by the school that we were pretty interested in, and it ended up being there were multiple owners of it, and some wanted to sell and some didn't, and they compromised and said, we'll sell half of it for a price that was out of our budget, and that settled that pretty fast. And then there was a while we were looking over by Western Technical College. The city owns some land over there, and then there's some privately owned land too that we were looking at, and that's pretty far from everything, but also that's where all of the new development in town is going. There's new housing development. There's a lot of commercial land over there. There's a lot of land that's part of city limits on that area. There were a few standing buildings that would be demolished. They sent a city council member and said, maybe these people have this big building that they're not doing anything with, and maybe they would want to sell. But at the end of the day, you can't ask people to sell land that they don't want to sell. So we went through that process for it was 6 months of, every few days we'd be like, well, maybe they would, they'd be interested in this. So there was a lot of back and forth on land, and that parcel. I think the thing about our location in the park that people are most upset about is they think it's too far from downtown, from our current location. And it will be hard to leave downtown when it's walkable to a lot of people. And the new location is walkable to a lot of people too. But there's an area right across from our current building. And there were a lot of, especially business owners who, they have a lot of land down there, and they really wanted to see us make it work down there. There's a lot of challenges against that location. The city only owns 0.17 acres. I've spent a lot of time looking at property maps. So the city owns just a teeny tiny parcel. So in order to be able to do anything, you'd have to get 3 or 4 landowners on board, which is tough.
Yeah.
That empty parcel is on top of the old hotel that had burned down, is underneath there. So that adds a lot of extra environmental excavating. Right. You'd take, there's also several residential units that in order to have enough space, you'd have to take down a couple of buildings. So if you have to relocate people, that's a pretty big decision to make. And I think a lot of people, thankfully, people don't know what goes into it if the government tells you that they're taking your house and you have to move to build something.
Yeah, and that's tough for people.
It's a lot, yeah. Yeah, there's already not enough apartments in the area, so. And then if you can get by all of those factors, that's the highest tax income generating block in Independence because there's so many businesses. So when you take half of that land, that's a big change.
Yeah.
So there were a lot of conversations. There was an uncountable number of meetings that were had during that time. And when it came time to make a decision, we just realized we need to pick from land that the city already owns. And that area around Four Seasons Park is so beautiful. It's a nice, quiet area where, I think it will be really great. I'm very excited to be closer to the senior apartments there. It'll be a nice spot for getting kids off the bus to come there. So I think it's going to be a really great location for us.
Well, I think having the park there too is, there's nothing better on a nice sunny day. Grabbing a book, go sit out in the sun, throw a blanket down, and maybe that'll bring more people in to to get their books, go out and spend the time in the park too. So it sounds like a good location for both those opportunities.
We have a park in our backyard right now, and we love it. We use it all the time. Almost every activity we do in the summer is outside, some in the fall too. And it's really, really nice to have that outdoor space.
Oh, that's going to be cool. So, and, people, of course, you've got, like you said, you got your opinions. Half people love it. So half people are like, I don't know. And then, of course, you're going to get people asking about the money side of things. So what kind of misconceptions have you heard about or about this new library, and what information do you want to share with our listeners to let them know actually how it's all working?
Yeah. So we are doing the construction of this new community center, 100% grant funded by the Flexible Facilities Program. And part of that process, we have to give them a 5-year estimation of our ongoing costs and things like that. So, people say, oh, it's going to cost the city so much money. Once they're built, they're going to have to double their staffing. They're going to have to do all of these things. And we've already looked at that, and we've figured out the money side of things. The estimation of how much our costs are going to increase between 2024 and 2027 is $3,000 more.
Okay.
So it's not a big insurmountable thing. It won't make a difference to the city budget at all. The rest of this is coming from smaller grants, donors, and fundraising that our Friends of the Library is doing.
Okay.
So we're officially kicking off our capital campaign this week. We've kind of soft launched it by having the materials available on our website, and we didn't want this to come as a surprise that we're going to be asking for money, but we are. Get ready, people. But we need to cover the cost of shelving, which is a lot more expensive than I think people are expecting. Whitehall just built their building. Mondovi has the new library. We know what to expect, and it's a lot more than you think. We're thinking it'll be about $150,000 to $200,000 just for the shelves. That's no tables, no chairs, just shelving. And then we need the tables and the chairs and things like that. And then another thing we want to do is put solar panels on. So we've entered into that process already. We've got some quotes. We've got a agreement signed to get some solar panels installed in the spring. Cool. There's a lot of donors who come out for solar panels. Yeah. So our agreement for the solar panels was for $125,000, which is a big amount of money. But we already have funding lined up for $98,000 of that. Okay. So, there's so many programs out there and things like that we're not going to make any impact to the city's budget. They give us our set amount that we get every year, 70-something thousand we get from the City of Independence, and that's what we'll get in 2026 as well. And so
have no fear, people.
Have no fear. We're not here to do anything crazy. We're not gonna, we're very economically minded, and we're making sure that we're not biting off more than we can chew. And I think anytime you have a big change, that's a big worry for people. Is who's going to pay for it? Yep.
Because no one wants their taxes to go up, and people. Anytime you hear about anything built, they're like, "Oh, well, for sure, that's going to happen to us," and not always the case. So, wow, that's some great information. That's pretty cool that it's coming along so quickly. And the grants, how long does it take to get those grants? When you apply for them, how long does it take to find out, and how do you find out?
So we found out that this grant program was going to exist. There was rumors for maybe a year or so that the last round of the COVID relief money, that's what this is there was rumors floating around that it might be going to libraries, but nobody really knew anything about that. So in January last year, now we're talking 20 months ago or so, they said, we are going to have this flexible facilities program. We're giving, it was about $120 million to Wisconsin communities, specifically to build libraries or library and community centers. It was only open to tribal governments and units of local governments that don't turn a profit. Like libraries.
Yeah.
So they said 100% of this money is going into communities to build permanent infrastructure to better education, workplace opportunities, and healthcare monitoring. So our library board looked at that right away when it came out. I forwarded it and said, this would be a long shot, but just a few months before that, they said, should we be talking about building a new library? Around that time, Whitehall was moving into their building, and they said, let's start talking about it. It's a long-term plan, but let's... And then, just a few months later, here's the opportunity. Yeah. So I said we'd have to move fast. It would be a lot of work up front, but we wouldn't have to do the years and years of fundraising that you see other communities having to do. So they looked at that in the very late winter, early spring, and the library board said, let's go for it. We casually priced out what a renovation on our current building would be, but we didn't know what there would be enough space that would make the police department and city hall figure out something else. So the conversation quickly became, let's do a new building, and then it very quickly became, let's do a community center that contains a library, because we can get a lot more for our community.
Yeah. A lot
of the boxes, we know there's a lot of needs in the area, and we said let's get as much as we can for the community. This is a once in any of our lifetime opportunity for the city, and let's do it. So the direction I got from the library board was, focus your energy on getting us this money. So we had all the meetings and got the grant going. The applications were due in July, and then we sat there waiting until very early October.
Okay.
And I got a phone call about 5:30 in the evening, which is late for an official, I feel like a lot of those offices close at 4 or whatever. And she said, this is so-and-so from Governor Tony Evers' office, and I wanted to talk to you personally and let you know that next week the governor is going to be making announcements of who's getting this money, and we're pleased to inform you that you'll be given $4,121,435. It was totally surreal, because I think we thought we had decent odds at this grant. We knew we put in a good application, but I wasn't expecting a personal phone call. I wasn't expecting a phone call in the evening too. You see on caller ID, office of is all you see, and I'm like, oh great, someone trying to sell me something.
Yep.
But yeah, it was completely surreal.
That's so cool. Well,
yeah.
Cool. Well, we're running a little short on time here, but quickly, do you want to tell us about what's going on in the library this week? Yeah.
Well, we've got our Friends of the Library has Pumpkin Fest, so if you need any pumpkins, gourds, they also
is that all week long, or what?
It's Saturday and Sunday.
Okay.
Saturday and Sunday, 8 to 2. If you go around lunchtime, 11 to 2 on Saturday. They also have a bunch of games lined up. They'll have a grill out. They've got, the menu is online now. I saw that come out over the weekend, but they've got brat dinners or burger dinners that they're grilling, and have a little petting zoo. Someone's bringing their goats if you want to meet some farm animals, and 'tis the season.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, that's cool.
At the Arcadia Library, they've got Inga from Around the Farm Tables going to be there on Thursday. So if you wanna see Inga, you missed her at the Whitehall Library last week. Arcadia on Thursday at 5:30 or 6. 5:30, I think.
Yep.
Get there at 5:30. You can read a book while you wait if I give you the wrong time. And then Whitehall Library has a men's book club that they just started over the summer. That's meeting tonight, and kind of a cool, something different. There's not a lot of stuff that's just for men to do other than sports and grilling meat. So.
Yeah. And we do love our sports and grilling meat, but might as well add some books in there, right?
Yeah.
maybe get a good book on grilling for your club.
I bet you could.
Yeah. So, no, that's great. What time is that at?
I think it's at 5.
Okay. Very cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
A lot of fun stuff. There's always something fun going on.
Yep. And if people want to find out more about what's going on in libraries, where can they go to find you guys?
We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, and then our website is just independencelibrary.worldsweb.org.
Okay.
We've got all the information on there. We've got our event calendar and all the contact us buttons, so call, email, whatever, however you want to get in touch
Cool.
with us. We want to hear from you.
Oh, very good. Well, that's a lot of great information for today.
A lot of information in
Yeah.
a short amount of time.
I appreciate it. I appreciate you
good.
coming in. We'll see you back here next Monday, correct?
Ooh, I
Maybe?
don't know.
I don't know.
It's
We'll have to-
library card sign up month ends
Ooh.
this week.
Yeah, so get on out and get signed up because
Yes.
a library card is free. So just stop in.
Great.
Can they sign up online if they want to? I'm sure they can, can't they?
There's an online form where you can
Okay.
sign up, and then the library will reach out, and then we'll see if you want to schedule a time to pick up your card, or we can mail it. If for people who don't get out of the house much,
Okay.
then we can do whatever. We want to get you a library card, even if you can't make it into our doors.
Yeah, very cool. Well, Kayla,
Yeah.
thank you so much for being
Thank
here
you.
today. We will let you get back down the road, and we're going to get back into the music right after this.
Start your day with the good stuff.
All right, make it extra large, 2 sugars, lots of cream.
Coffee with Brian.
Somebody says something about coffee.
Brewing up music and more.
Coffee drink.